Meeting. It's 4 o'clock on my watch. If everyone wants to do the QR code, I will move the attendance or the link for attendance. I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. Every year that we did this, it was kind of like trouble with what was the program called? Spartan Connect. And it was like if you did it on your phone, your laptop, it was like you need to log in, like nothing this, like all it flashes with like a blue banner. It's kind of like, it's like you're looking for everything. I'm assuming everyone's been able to do it. Let's back over here. Okay. So welcome everyone to our last meeting of the semester. We'll have kind of a quick meeting. Do you know when the speaker's arriving, Kathy? Okay, we've got time. Okay. So I will just go ahead and jump in. We have an opening for the Student Government Association for one of our 2 graduate senators. It's a big time commitment, but we are here to help. We would just like to have representation from graduate students. So if you are interested, please reach out to one of us. We'll put you in touch with Hillary, and if Hillary would like to come up. We have a brief student government announcement. I think I'm just going to try.
Hi, so Ashley asked me to give updates on the Student Engagement Committee, but I'll also give some Student Government Association announcements. So November 14th, we have a town hall with the police department put on by the Current Concerns Committee and SGA. And that's at both 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the Cone Ballroom. November 14th, there's a tuition and fees student forum, 2:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. virtually. And I'm not sure where that is, but
person is the EUC auditorium.
okay, in person is EUC auditorium.
Has the online been confirmed yet?
It's that same day, is it not on the 7th?
Yeah, but they said they were. They haven't sent out a single for the online yet.
We'll let y'all know.
Yeah.
Okay. November 15th at our normal meeting at 7 p.m. In the Cone Ballroom, we have guest speaker from ORS, Tina Vines. And then November 10th, we have a safety walk with ORS. That's when we just go around with different people from the university to make sure that the campus is accessible and safe. And that's from 6 to 8 p.m. And that's all I have. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about the SGA senator vacancy. I'd love to have another person helping me in SGA. So that's all. Thank you.
And then if one person, I know it's a big job for one person to do all of these meetings for student government, but it can also be a team of people. That's sort of what we always envisioned with like having a group of graduate students sort of sharing this responsibility within student government. So you can sort of tag team those meetings. I know it's difficult, but we thank Hillary for her service. My other big piece of news is that we have a new co-advisor for GSA, Dr. Paul Steimle, and I'll let him come up. Oh yeah, you'd like. So this person will work with Dr. Craig, and I know she's been busy, but she's been doing this job all by herself with us. But Dr. Paul Steimle. Okay.
Hi, thank you. I'm Paul Steimle. I'm a faculty member in the biology department. I've been here about 21 years, which is a long time. I've been graduate program director in biology for 6 years. I'm no longer doing that. And I've served on the graduate council for a couple of years, well, for actually about 6 years and 2 years as the chair. I bring that up only because I think that gives me sort of a perspective that can be helpful to you all, hopefully. Especially in terms of who to contact about what kinds of things. I don't have a whole lot to really say, except I'm really looking forward to working with you all. You have my email. If you want to email me about anything, but I think the executive board is probably going to be where you're going to go first, and then we'll talk about things. But looking forward to it. All right. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. And so now we're going to committee reports. Apologies. But yeah, so we have a new advisor, SGA vacancies, please let us know. And then I guess my other big thing for welcome announcement is that this is our last meeting of the semester and we won't see you all until February. So, talk to your students, reach out, like if there's anything you all need, you know, we'll still be working up until we see you, but we'll keep in touch, and then let's get through these darker days. So committee reports, we'll start with programming. So the camera will probably only follow me, but if you could speak into the microphone, everything everyone online will be able to hear you.
I think I'm the only one here from the committee today is how I got the honor, but the first thing is that the Halloween costume contest went live on the 21st and it ended yesterday. There is a spreadsheet with prizes that we can send you, but they have all been ordered, and there will be a link for the voting for the costume contest. It's on, I'm sorry, where did you say it was? Okay, it's on one of the slides and it's also on the website, right? And it looks like we had some really interesting costumes this year. The only other programming project we have is the distribution of the self-care swag packages. Right now, we're looking at either the very end of November, the beginning of December. We're trying to figure out when we'll have the best turnout for that and people that can actually man the giving out of the packages. And we're still in the process of determining what's going to go in the bags. I just heard that it's been at the EUC in the past, so I'm assuming that's probably what will happen this year.
Thank you so much. And again, if anyone would like to volunteer with any of these, like, we could all use the help. But I know the programming especially needs it. Next, we'll hear from student engagement, getting our steps in.
All right, so student engagement is working on a grad student Bill of Rights that we're going to share with the grad school. And if you right now we're just drafting it on Google Docs, and if you're interested in being a part of that, contact me or Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is finance.
All right. Hi, everyone. So we had our first window earlier in October, and roughly 30 people got awarded for the PDF and the RCF. So that's exactly what we would expect to see. I know some people weren't happy that they didn't get funded, but we do only have $12,000 allotted for that first window. So that's the same thing for the second window coming up. So it opens on November 7th at 8 a.m. So that is Monday at 8 a.m. Okay. So anyone who had applied for the first window and did not get funded can reapply. I did send that out in the notification if you didn't get the award as well as anyone who didn't apply in the first window can, of course, apply in the second window as well. It will close November 11th at 5 p.m. And then, as I mentioned, we still only have about $12,000 as we only had 24,000 allotted for this semester. We're still keeping the RCF, the Research Capstone Fund, at that $300, and then the Professional Development Fund remains at that $500 as well. If you are doing the PDF application, make sure that that conference does take place either from July 1st all the way through December 31st, excuse me. And then I did make a few changes because I think further clarification needed to be present. And so there is a link for helpful tips added to the GSA funding page. It's within, I believe, like the first paragraph on that homepage that you just click the link and it'll take you to a document. And then I redid the PDF video as well. Hopefully everyone can look at that. I did upload a TRV form that did already have the appropriate box checked for one of the beginning of the TRV form. And then I took away the virtual PDF on the application website. However, if you still want to apply, I don't think no one actually applied for it, which is why I took it away. But if you do have a virtual conference, you can still apply just in the regular PDF. But if you do, please reach out to me because there will be a few changes from the actual in-person conference. And then if you guys have any questions, please email me or at the end of the meeting today. I'll stick around for a little while as well. Thank you.
Nice. I'm into this. This would be the link for the Halloween voting contest. So this is the link. Everyone can go to it. We'll send this out as well, or take photos of it. We'll be sure to share this all with you. I guess I can go through the costumes again. Okay.
Oh, it's the same.
No,
Yeah. Yeah, the Google Doc, it's a Google Doc, right? Google Form, yeah.
oh, yes, sorry, questions. Yeah, we were just discussing that.
Sorry, I just needs permission. Like share.
If I was more tech, I
Hold on.
yeah.
Okay.
was gonna say, if I was more tech savvy, it'd be nice to just like switch to that kind of like old TV screen. Please stand by, we have technical difficulties. Who knows?
Yeah.
Is it working for those in the room?
Have to use your UNCG email.
Okay, you'll have to use your UNCG email to access the link.
Yeah, it's, I don't think it's working.
I grew up in Appalachia, so we're a few decades
So it
behind.
is there.
Yeah. Let's see, any questions in the chat? Okay. Well, our speaker hasn't arrived yet.
It's Donna Heath now.
Okay,
I'm here.
someone quickly edit. Oh, they're online. Okay. I think I could make, I'm gonna say, Donna, would you like to, do you need anything to share?
I don't. I'm
Okay.
not present at you. I thought I would just talk with you today, and I'm sorry that I'm joining you remotely. I'm actually in Appalachia right now, traveling. So, and I also apologize. I look like I'm in the witness protection program or coming in and out of it. So I'm sorry about that. I've got every light on, but I'm still a little bit dark in here. So anyway, I appreciate you all having me today and having the opportunity to talk to you today. And really all I wanted to cover with you is the project that's starting to get underway. That's our transition from Google and Box and Zoom to the Microsoft 365 platform. And so I wanted to let you know a little bit about why we're making the transition and then tell you just a bit about how we expect it to unfold, and then let you ask me any questions that you might have for me. So as you know, we have, or you may know, we have these multiple platforms that do have very similar functions here at UNCG. And so we pay for our Microsoft license. We pay $515,000 a year for our enterprise campus license for Microsoft. And that includes the Office 365, your Word, Excel, et cetera. That includes the Windows operating system, the Windows Server operating system, our identity management system. It's a number of things that we can't function without as a university. And so we started to look at how might we consolidate and reduce operating costs and try to eliminate some of our redundant platforms or things that do similar things. And the only choice for us to consolidate down to was Microsoft, because we can't do without, I can't imagine us not having our Microsoft operating systems on computers. And so we're going to pay that cost regardless. So as we started to look at thinking about that, I actually last year chaired the UNC System CIO Council that has all of the CIOs from the other 17 institutions in the UNC system. We all know each other pretty well, and we commiserate on all of the different changes that are coming our way. And we also, UNCG IT actually has sits on the board, the advisory board for Box and for Google, and so we're pretty intimately familiar with the corporate changes that are coming down the pike for those companies. And so both Google and Box are on the cusp of introducing some pretty significant price increases that would really elevate annually our cost of owning these two platforms by about between $600,000–700,000 a year. So these were all big, compelling changes for us that made us move with more speed than we might normally toward consolidation onto a single platform that we already pay for. And we're not alone in this. I will say in the UNC system, there are 11 other schools have already made this transition. And those include Chapel Hill and East Carolina and other schools that are, you know, larger or of similar size that we are. And we've seen this happen all across the country as well with institutions, higher ed, public higher ed, and other private higher ed institutions that are facing these same sorts of price increases that we are. So we're, you know, even though it's a big transition, we're in good company. And the way this will unfold for us on this campus is we have engaged Microsoft. We also sit on an education advisory board for Microsoft. We know our partners very well. We have spoken to the highest level of leadership at Microsoft and have gotten them to agree to engage with us in a much more hands-on way than they might ordinarily, because this is a big lift for us to make this transition and to make it fairly quickly. We're expecting the migration to complete by the end of June in 2023. So that's a pretty fast timeline. But that's the timeline we need to make in order to avoid these cost increases with the other platforms that are coming down the road here. So Microsoft is planning to send, they have a premier partner that's called Planet Technologies, and Microsoft staff and Planet Technologies are going to be on site with us for most of the duration of this project. And the first part of this, which has already kicked off, is basically a needs assessment. We've never really done a migration this way before, but I think because these platforms are so important to everyone, that it's really important for us to understand how everything is being used, and to map functionality from from Google and Box and Zoom into the new Microsoft platform before we actually start migrations. So Microsoft is going to be leading a set of user focus groups now, I think through probably next week or the end of the following week, and they've agreed to really do as many of these sessions as we need to do that are an opportunity for students, faculty, and staff to participate and to discuss basically how they are using the platforms now, if they have any questions or any concerns about functionality that may or may not migrate. And I'm going to actually put in the chat here, if you are interested in participating in any of those. I just sent you all the contact information. Would love to have you participate. But what we hope to get out of that is we'd like to have at the end of mid-December, I would say, we'd like to really have a full-blown, here are all the things that we've heard from all of our students, faculty, and staff. These are the functionality requirements, and here's a blueprint for migrating to the new system. And then we're going to circulate that document back with campus, let everyone look at it, react to it, and say, yes, we've included everything, or no, we've forgotten these pieces that need to be added. And then we'll start beginning a migration plan and building a project plan for that migration in January. And so I would expect that we'll have some more firm timelines about when groups and departments and so forth will be migrated as we get into mid-January. So with that, that's a lot to take in. And with that, I'm going to pause and just let you ask me any questions that you have about the project, and hopefully I can answer anything doesn't make sense.
Do you have any questions in the room? Oh, yes, we got one.
Will you be moving over your Google email to Microsoft?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I guess for everyone, the question was, will we migrate our emails over to Microsoft emails? And the answer was yes.
You will keep your same email address, of course. Yes, there is a Microsoft platform for data storage. You'll keep your UNCG email, and all of the email that you have in the Google platform will be migrated to the new Microsoft platform. And the data storage platform is OneDrive, but it's not OneDrive as you would know it if you are an individual user. This is OneDrive that's actually configured as an enterprise storage option, which is backed by Azure. So it's a much more robust storage system than what you might know as your personal OneDrive.
Yeah, I see one question in the chat. The one we had in here was how much storage is on that OneDrive?
So one of the things that I think is will help you understand part of the pricing model change. So Google has kind of been I won't say infinite and free for us, but they certainly were our open source platform for many years here. And the new pricing model that they're about to implement, it would require users to only have 5 gigs of storage, which, as you all know, is really not very much at all, and would have a price per gig for every bit of storage above that amount. In the Microsoft platform, we will have somewhere between 2 and 5 terabytes per user of storage. So vastly different.
We have 2 questions in the chat.
Okay. Does Microsoft provide all of the accessibility features that Zoom has? Yes, Microsoft does provide all of the accessibility features. That's a showstopper for us. So there's no question about it. That's required. Google. So on the will documents in Google Drive be moved over, or do we need to individually download and re-upload these? So what I would say is don't do anything yet until we have the storage configured, because if you moved things to a personal OneDrive space now, once we have the enterprise storage available, you may end up having to do that twice. So definitely hold until you hear from us that we're ready to do that. And I think what will happen with storage is that we will have a couple of options. So I think we'll have a self migration option, and then we'll have an assisted migration option. We can certainly pick up, there are tools available to us as your enterprise IT group, where we can pick up these files and migrate them automatically. But you will still want to, check post migration, make sure things are where they're supposed to be, make sure your permissions are correct, and all of those pieces that go with that. And so, for folks who have a more complicated storage situation, or where they're doing more complicated things in their storage, we'll have an assisted migration, which really will be, someone sitting with you to go through this migration process and make sure that all of your workflow and things are working properly. 2-factor authentication is already through Microsoft. No interruptions with 2FA. It will be the same 2-factor authentication that we already have. And documents off from Box. Yes, same for Box. I mean, what we'll try to look at holistically at storage is everything. So anything that you have in the Google or Box platform, it will be treated the same way. We will work on migration the same way. So Adrian, you have a question for me?
I do, thank you. I'm a senator over with the Counseling and Educational Development Department, and I just wanted to ask, so my understanding is that, for example, with telehealth appointments with clients, Zoom is a secure platform, and my understanding is with like Microsoft conferencing options that there's some concerns around security for that. How would that work in terms of how we would work, for example, with clients, and any issues with confidentiality?
So it will not be Microsoft offer, just to ease your mind about that. Microsoft offers fully HIPAA compliant options here. So it may not be a conferencing call option. It might be a connection through Teams or something like that. But we certainly have equivalent or better functionality in Teams.
Okay, thank you.
To ensure security of information.
Well, I had one question that I've heard posed, and you might have heard this, I think, in Faculty Senate or one of the other times you've given this presentation. Was that how disruptive might this be for graduate students, professional students that have subscription services through our current emails? Migrating, is that, we lose all of those things?
Right. So we will preserve that authentication to external services. So there will be some level of Google services still available for that function. So I'm not exactly sure yet what that looks like. I'm speaking a little bit out of turn because we haven't finished the needs assessment and really mapped it all out yet, but very aware of the need to preserve that functionality.
All right. Thank you. Do you have any other questions? There's one more in the chat.
So yeah, Sarah, to your point, is Teams equipped to handle the volume of large classes? I don't think I've ever had a Teams call that didn't malfunction. So let me just talk through that for a second. So when we migrated to Teams, we had an almost Teams for voice. and that was sort of the Franken migration, right? It was just like the worst conflation of how a migration could go. So we were basically at that point in time, we were on a Cisco call system that was really out of date and about to be, and it was starting to malfunction. And we were under a very short timeline of having to migrate calls. Yeah, I'll come to it in a second, Jessica. So we had to bring a partner in to help us with that, to help us go through that migration. And part of the issue is that we had AT&T as our phone provider, then we had a legacy Cisco system, and then we had a new system. And so all of these things were routing through 3 different systems. All of the calls were routing through 3 different systems, and it was just darn near impossible if you had a malfunction on something happening to determine where it was coming from, because there were just too many places that it could be coming from. And so one of the things that we've asked Microsoft to do as we decommission these old systems and get them out of the mix, we've moved over to Segra as our backend provider. So AT&T is out of the mix. We've almost gotten all of our Cisco equipment out of the mix, but not quite, because we've still got to deal with faxing and emergency phones, and we're getting pretty close on that. And so by the time we begin the kickoff of this migration, we will have pulled all of the other stuff out of the pipeline there, and we'll be down to just Teams for voice. And so one of the things we've asked Microsoft to do as part of this engagement is to help us do let's really come in and have the people who built Teams come in and take a look at this configuration and validate how it's set up and make sure that it's configured as it should be. So in terms of, can it handle the volume? The product, yet Microsoft operates on Microsoft Teams for voice. So, I mean, that's a very large company, and many, many large companies across the country operate very successfully on Microsoft Teams for voice. So I think we've had here a bit of a perfect storm of how it was rolled out, and then pulling other things out of the mix at the same time, and then also updating our endpoint devices to make sure they're compatible. So we know the level of malfunction that's happened with Teams. That is Teams voice. That is not that point is certainly not lost on any of us who are trying to support the product. So part of what we'll be doing is working through this is to make sure that the product is functioning properly and that we're all able to use it satisfactorily to do the things we need to do. Do I have an estimate concerning when we would lose the ability to access Google Box? So the migration project is set to be complete at the end of June of this coming year. So we have lead time around that. What I've asked Microsoft to do is, as soon as we can get engaged with the products, and as soon as we can start to get training, for students, faculty, and staff, as soon as IT. So as soon as we can get our hands on it and start to get familiar with the environment, please, set it up so that we can do that. And then those of us who can start self-migrating storage can absolutely do that. I mean, so hypothetically, if you were inclined to do it yourself, you probably could be off of Google Box by, I'm going to think like March or April, if you really wanted to do that yourself. The platforms I don't think will go away. And again, I'm speaking a little bit out of turn because I'm giving you my guesstimate around what the project parameters will actually look like, because they haven't been planned yet. But typically what happens with a migration like this, the platforms don't go away for several months post a cutover, because you want to make sure that you've got everything and that people haven't lost any files and so forth. But I would plan on planning to work in the new system as of June 30th, 2023. Doing my graduate assistantship with the president program programs. We're doing it on Google Sites. How will this switch? We're working through that. So yes, of course, Jessica, we're working through that right now, and are again very aware of the the requirements for Google Forms, Google Sites, and what that's going to look like as we map forward to the new. So I can't answer it perfectly yet. But if we are switching away from Google Sites, then there will be a replacement that is equivalent or better for that.
Any other questions?
Welcome.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What about people who are graduating? Will they be able to get an alumni with like the library?
Okay. I don't know if everyone heard the question, but for those who are graduating, will they have access to an alumni email? Or do they just lose all access together with?
Yeah, I think services as they exist today will remain. So the intent will be if accounts are provided, they will remain.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
I think, I guess for me, so you don't get inundated with questions, if we don't participate in the, I forget what the word for that was.
The needs assessment.
The
work
needs
session.
assessment, if we don't
Yeah.
participate in that and we do have questions, I think who in our lives as graduate students,
Yeah.
like point person, would that be our like department director or?
Absolutely. So one of the things and you can reach out to the folks that I gave you there, you can reach out to me. And certainly your faculty within your department as well. One of the things that, I've met with the deans, I've met with the associate deans and the assistant deans, chairs, department heads, and so forth. And we've all, all of us have the primary concern of making sure that we are as least disruptive as possible to our graduate students and our undergraduate students. And so one of the things that we've been talking about here is really making sure that our faculty in the department or point people, implementation teams within each department are trained up to fully support this migration. So I've asked all of the deans and all of their assistant and associate deans to give us an implementation team of point people within that department. And so part of what we'll do, they will be an integral part of this project going forward. So they'll be privy to the sausage making, so forth, with respect to what's the timing, what are the training opportunities. They will be a constant feedback channel for us in terms of questions that folks have or other functionality pieces that we need to have on the radar. So
Thank you.
You bet.
Well, I don't see any questions in the room. I'm not sure if there's any. Oh, there's one more in the chat.
Document security be ensured during transition. So yeah, so it will be we have tools. Yeah, of course. Campus health, pharmacy, finances. Yeah, we have tools, of course, to do this migration in an encrypted way. So that would not be, they're mass migration tools. Let me say it that way, that you have available in an enterprise level of migration of files. And so that will certainly be our primary concern as well. So we do not want to, nothing we do, we would like to have land us on the front page of the newspaper. So we will be very concerned with information security. Globus. What exactly is the question about Globus?
Oh,
that's a mass migrating system. Yeah, I don't know what the migration tools will be on the back end yet. So Globus also for self-migrating. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have to go through this on a, I don't want to say a case by case because that's not right. But again, coming back to this idea of having implementation teams within each functional area. So within the schools and colleges, within each of the administrative areas, functional areas, these folks really do understand what their faculty and staff are doing. And so having them as an integral part of the migration team, I mean, these needs are going to surface and will have to be addressed as part of the project planning. So if a department wants to self-migrate, then we're going to have to understand what that data is and how and whether or not that's a reasonable thing for that department to do.
I think Sarah mentioned a good question that I also heard, I think in Faculty Senate. One member mentioned, since they, I guess, have an affinity for Google and Box, they opted, well, if we have the money, can we stay on Box? And I was curious about if certain departments are resistant, how disruptive might that be with IT services and whatnot?
Yeah, this is really for, it's not possible for us to have multiple uncg.edu domains here. Right?
Okay.
So it really needs to be, and you can imagine what that might look like if you were trying to have a university directory across multiple platforms. I mean, if you want to be able to see other people's email addresses, you're going to have to participate in the university system that is provided here. So, and really, I'll tell you honestly, and I have had a lot of conversations at this point with multiple groups on campus, and you all have probably heard, most of you have probably heard them at some point in time, but really one of the things that reminds me of why it is so phenomenal to be a part of this campus is for every couple of people that have said this is the most awful thing ever, and don't talk to me about this, it's terrible. There have been 10 more who have said, how can I help? How do I get engaged in this, and how do I help make this a smooth transition? And it really, it reminds me to be grateful that I'm here at a university where that's the case. And so I think everybody understands why we would want to have one system, and why we want to have the ability for in our students' best interest to have one system that's the way we are contacting people and the way we're communicating with people, to make it a much easier experience.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Any other questions? I think we're all good in this room.
So the IT is governed, how were graduate students included in the decision-making process? So let me just tell you, IT is governed differently than other parts of the institution. There are 3 system level policies that pertain explicitly to IT governance, and they're really specific. And the reason for this is information security. You all may or may not be aware, but a major information security breach can cause significant financial, reputational, big damage to the institution. So there's a lot of interest at the legislature, there's a lot of interest at the system office, and of course at our own institutions by maintaining the integrity of information security. So IT is governed by these 3 policies. And basically the way these policies work are the system office lays out an IT governance framework, and it is blessed by the legislature. And then we are to implement that on our campuses. So the chancellor and I and the provost and the chief financial officer and the vice chancellor for enrollment management and the chief of staff, the vice chancellor for research, and I don't know if I'm leaving anybody out. It was a large team of folks across the institution that authored the IT governance framework at UNCG, and I'll give you a link to that so you can see it. Actually, let me find it here. Okay. Got too many windows open here. Let me get back to you. Okay. This is the, oops. To everyone here. Okay. That's the link to IT governance. And so basically how IT governance works at UNCG is we have an executive steering committee, which is comprised of the provost, the chief financial officer, the vice chancellor for enrollment management, and me, the CIO. I'm the chair of that committee. That committee reports directly to the chancellor, and the chancellor has all final decision-making authority for IT decisions at UNCG. So we have structured, I believe, 5 or 6 advisory groups to the executive steering committee, and those groups are comprised of faculty and staff all across our campus. And so there's a learning technology committee, there's a web and mobile committee, there's a number of different entities there. So normally the way IT decisions are made is they are raised as part of strategy and vetted through these groups. In this particular case, as I described earlier, we did not have another choice to make. And so in this particular case, the only decision that could be made in UNCG's being a good steward of university monies and looking forward to how do we create a sustainable financial model for UNCG. The only way that we could accomplish that was by consolidation onto one platform. So as soon as we knew that these price increases were coming, and as soon as we knew that we were going to move this direction, as soon as we made the decision to move in this direction, I think it was late August, I immediately started meeting with all of our different groups on campus. I met with the Student Government Association, I think like a week past us knowing that this decision had come about. And unfortunately, we were just scheduled later with you guys. And I don't know if it was a timing I don't know if it was timing of calendar or why we were later coming into the mix here. I don't know how often you meet. But now that the decision is made, I think we have lots of opportunity to influence what this implementation looks like and to make sure that we arrive with the right product at the end. And so that's why we wanted to go through it first with a long needs assessment, where we've really had an opportunity for everyone to be engaged in the process and to have that inform how we would move forward with the implementation. I hope that answers your question, Sarah. Certainly.
Well, we're good with questions in the room. I guess if that wraps it up, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. And let me give you, I'll give you my email address.
And then I guess I'll give one parting IT wisdom that I keep hearing in all my other meetings, or don't forward like spam or fishy emails. I know I said this last month, but as soon as you forward it from your email, it loses the tag and it looks like it's internal. So take a photo and then ask somebody like, what is this, before you, click on anything and send it in. But
well, let me just tell you before I jump off here, my door is always open. If I have missed anything that you wanted to talk about today, or if you think of anything that you'd like to talk about or have any questions for me, please do not hesitate to reach out.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me today. I enjoyed talking with you. Bye.
I guess I need to share again. Oh no. So yeah, I think we can either wrap up the meeting, but we'll be around for questions. Happy to end early if you all are. Enjoy the sunshine while it's out there. Snacks.
Okay, snacks are back, and you already mentioned you won't meet till next semester.
Yeah, we won't meet till February, I believe. That'll be like the first Thursday in February, but we'll send out information and reminders. Just gonna get back to these. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, otherwise we can adjourn. Enjoying some photos. Oh, question. The voting link for the programming? Are you using your UNCG email? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think everyone has to not have a laptop or their PC because it won't work on my phone.
So try accessing the links on your laptops, desktops. Yes.
Yeah, I'll put it on the GSA website and then we'll send out an email
Yeah,
and everything else.
we'll try to include it in the minutes and whatnot, but otherwise, meeting adjourned. Hang out. Have fun.
Everyone.